Hi YouTube, this is Joe Calton with Calton Cutlery. You can visit me on the web, caltoncutlery.com. Okay, so this is the next video in the Opinel toothy versus polished edge test, I think is what I titled this series, where we take these high carbon steel Opinel knives. We put 3 different edges on them, and we just cut a whole bunch of stuff. And that way you can kind of tell a little bit of the difference between different edge finishes. Now, the big this video right here is more of a kind of a go over the whole idea of the test thing again, you know, just kind of reiterate which stones that we're, or which edges that we're using and kind of why. Okay, so again, these you know, these are all pretty much the same pattern of knives. They're all the same steel. They're all from the same maker, you know, and so it's a good comparison test. Now, the reason I picked these Opinels is because they are very inexpensive. I want to say I gave like around $20 each for these things shipped with Amazon Prime. And for the cutting performance, they're really surprising me. They're actually really, really nice knives. But the whole idea being they're very inexpensive. So if you're just starting out, you know, either knife making or learning how to sharpen, or, you know, kind of deciding, you know, what edges that you like, you know, $20 for one of these knives to play around with really is not going to break the bank. And honestly, I mean, it'd really be a good investment of your money and time to, you know, drop 20 bucks on one of these and play it, and, you know, just, I mean, sharpen the thing down to nothing. You know, I mean, that's what it looked like pretty much brand new. I've only sharpened this 3 or 4 times. You know, buy the thing, sharpen it, cut different stuff with it, put a different kind of edge on it, cut different stuff with it, and by the time you wear that blade down to pretty much nothing, you'll have a pretty good idea about what it is that you like and what you don't like in an edge. And you won't have spent a ton of money to do it, okay? So that kind of leads into why I picked the stones that I picked. Now, well, we can go in order. So the first one is the DMT 325 grit. Okay, I like the continuous surface stones, just because you get, you know, I mean, there's not the little scallops inside there. So it's a continuous coating of diamond. There's no empty spots in there. This right here is the Smith's 325 and 700 combination sharpener that you can get at Walmart for like 15 bucks, something like that. And the really nice thing about these is that if you want to try that 325 grit diamond edge, this stone right here is about 80 bucks or so on Amazon. But you can try a really, really close, the DMT and the Smiths are both really, really close in the way that diamonds cut cut knife steels, or at least every knife steel that I've tried. Like I said, the Smiths, I don't believe they come in a continuous surface, and I really like the continuous surface. But I have bought plenty of these Smiths ones, and you know, used them quite a bit. The really big problem with the interrupted surface, and you may or may not think that that's kind of a problem, is that if you have, okay, like say a chef's knife, okay, that heel right there where it comes to a point, when you go to start your sharpening stroke, let's do this backwards, sometimes on a real thin edge, that heel can kind of catch inside those interruptions. Or if you were, you know, working a point, sometimes that point can kind of catch inside those interruptions. And honestly, that's the really big reason that I like DMTs over the Smiths. I mean, if I have to choose one or the other. So, I mean, if you can't throw down, or you don't want to throw down 80 bucks on a DMT, you know, stone like this to be able to try that 325 grit edge, by all means try the, you know, the little Smiths for 14 bucks. Now you can try the 325 and the 700 grit finish. That 325 grit finish is my all-time favorite working edge. You know, I don't cut very much stuff on a push. I cut almost everything on a slice. Typically speaking, I don't cut a whole lot of clean materials either. You know, I mean, you're cutting, you know, I mean, a dirty tarp, dirty rope, you know, sometimes clean rope if you're lucky, cardboard, scraping gaskets, you know, cutting leather. You know, an awful lot of stuff, you know, is kind of dirty. And that 325 grit edge, it's fast to put on. It cuts very aggressively with very little force. And it cuts for a reasonable amount of time, or a long amount of time, you know, depends on how you look at it. And that's just one of my favorite edges. So the second stone that we decided to do, or that I decided to do, is the King 1000, 6000 grit combination waterstone. Okay, this stone right here, it's the older version, the KW 65, if I remember right. They've got a newer version of it, the KDS, I think. They say it's for newer and harder steels. I don't run any of the fancy new super steels, you know. I mean, they're honestly, they don't really interest me all that much. You know, I run pretty much 1095, 52100, 5160, you know, W1 occasionally, you know, plus the stainless steel that's in like your Swiss Army knife, and pattern welded steel with 1095 and 15N20. Also, I work, you know, my own custom 440C stainless. That will cut every single one of those and not have a problem with it. So I really haven't felt the need to try you know, the stone for the super steels. Again, this stone right here, I think Amazon, the last time I bought a couple of these, I bought them for like 28 bucks a piece delivered. And that is a heck of a deal for, you know, as much stone as you get, and as good of a stone as this is. This is really kind of a good all-around stone for like polish type edges. Okay, so a lot of times this the 6000 grit edge, you know, I mean, you know, we've got the 325. And then we've got the straight up 6000 grit edge, and then we've got the 30,000 grit edge, which is the 6000 grit edge stropped on a chromium oxide strop, and then linen and leather. So a lot of times my straight razor, you know, I mean, it'll wear this 6000 grit edge and then stropped. My everyday carry, my belt knife lately, I've been running a 6000 grit edge on it just to, you know, see how the other side lives. And honestly, you know, it cuts a little bit different than my favorite 325 grit edge, but it's a very good and very serviceable edge. It's also handy for some things that the 325 grit finish isn't. Like y'all with facial hair, you know, you'll appreciate this, but, you know, every once in a while you'll, you know, look in the mirror and you find out you got that stray hair that you missed last time you trimmed your beard. Well, if you've got that 6000 grit edge, that works really nice to do a, you know, quick touch-up shave on your face with. Sometimes you might have to palm strop it a little bit, you know, to kind of bring the edge completely up, and then yeah, you can absolutely tune up with a, you know, with an everyday carry with a 6000 grit edge on it. But still, the big deal is that, you know, that is a $28 stone, and you get to play with a 6000 grit and a 1000 grit sharpening surface. The final edge that we decided to play with was the chromium oxide edge, and that's that 6000 grit stone, and then you have chromium oxide. When you buy your chromium oxide, I suggest you get it from a straight razor supply house or a sharpening supply house, not a, you know, not off Amazon, or unless it's coming from a place that has that kind of background. It seems to me like I've played with some red or some green buffing compound that I thought was chromium oxide, and it had a whole bunch of trash in it, and it really wasn't what you wanted for, you know, for tuning up an edge, you know, for shaving your face with. So anyway, but, you know, and this strop right here, you know, I picked this up off of eBay. I think it was in a collection of straight razors. I think I bought like, oh, it was a lot of like, I don't know, 20 straight razors, and it had this strop in it and a couple other like paddle type strops and whatnot. And it was in really rough shape. Honestly, I cleaned it up the best I could, sanded the leather, washed the linen in the shop sink a couple of times, and then, you know, let it all dry out. Put that chromium oxide on the inside here. The outside's as clean as it can get, and the leather was sanded and, you know, wiped down a couple of times. But I just picked up one of these for a friend for a Christmas gift. You know, I don't remember the name of it, but it was off of Amazon, and I want to say it was around about the $30 mark. It's in the video, honing a gold dollar straight razor for Christmas. And it was a really nice strop. It's pretty much the same setup as that, only made by, this one's Middlesex 505. I think that one was a, I want to say like a Chicago or Illinois, something like that. But for $30, you know, I mean, it was an entirely serviceable strop. I was really pleased with it. I'd show it to you, but I gave it away for a Christmas gift. But anyway, so that's kind of a a good broad view of different edges. If you guys have seen my other, you know, sharpening videos and stone videos and stuff, you guys know I got a lot of sharpening stones. I mean, it's almost a problem. You know, I've got everything from like the Norton, I think they call it the Hogger. It's like a 30 or a 40 grit silicon carbide stone, all the way up to Nanawa 12K, some black and translucent hard Arkansas stones, and a really nice, oh, I can't remember the name of the stone, but I got it from Jonathan Coe off of Facebook. If you guys are into Arkansas stones, you guys will know who I'm talking about. But so I've got a really wide selection of stones from basically 40 grit up to 12,000 grit plus, you know, plus stropping compound and everything. I mean, and pretty much anything and everything in between. So I'm going to stick with just these three edges. Because I think it gives you the kind of a good broad overall picture of the sharpening game. If you've got a favorite edge of yours that, you know, you really want to see how it does with these tests, and a camera, hey, you know, it'd be really cool if you were to grab one of these Opinels, you know, put your edge on it, and then, you know, duplicate one of the tests or come up with your own test, video it and put it on YouTube, and then put the links, you know, for, you know, to share with everybody else. You know, the more folks play around with different edges and share that, then you know, then the greater understanding that we all have of, you know, different edge finishes in real world applications. So like I said, this video series, it's been doing really good. I think we did, we took a look at the edges underneath the microscope. We did some manila rope. We did some manila rope, poly rope, and we did something else already too. I can't remember what it was. But we've still got cardboard, we've still got leather, we've still got t-shirts, we've got dog food bags, sandwich bags, and then we'll go into the kitchen and we'll do, you know, carrots and potatoes and, you know, peppers and, you know, onions, pretty much whatever. You know, just playing around with it. And the big idea is to kind of give you an overview of the, you know, the difference that edge finishes make in cutting performance on the same class of knives. So, again, this is Joe Calton with Calton Cutlery. You can visit me on the web, caltoncutlery.com. I hope you enjoyed the video, and we will see you next time.